podcast. Cody's back this week.
Yes.
Yeah. Cody's back. He's back for 2 weeks. He's going to be on the poll, whatever the poll episode is. I don't think I'll have this up before the poll is done, but you can find out on Facebook if it's still up, and you can do a quick vote. We're voting for Gamera, the giant monster, versus Titan AE. Two very different movies that are, I guess they're both sci-fi, and then one has they both have vaguely circular things that are very impressive. So this week we're doing our second movie of the worst movies to win Best Picture. And this week we're doing Driving Miss Daisy. The last one was Around the World in 80 Days. That was episode 2. You can go listen to that. It's half as long as the movie, so that's actually faster. And you won't believe this, it's not as boring. The movie's more boring, actually. This is better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you saw it, that movie. So yeah, this is better. It's at least well written. It won 4 Oscars and was nominated for 9 Oscars. It won 4 Oscars and was nominated for 9 Oscars. It won Best Makeup, Best Screenplay based on another material from another medium, Best Picture, and Best Actress for Jessica Tandy. And it was nominated for Best Actor for Morgan Freeman, Best Supporting Actor for Dan Aykroyd, Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing. It's the most recent Best Picture that the last of the Best Pictures that was rated PG. They've all been PG-13 or R since. So that's another thing. This won out against, for Best Picture, I should have just taken screenshots of this. I know better. What am I doing? Don't worry, I'll cut all this out. It won't matter. It beat Born on the 4th of July, Dead Poets Society, Field of Dreams, and My Left Foot. So those are things. Some of those are movies I've heard of. The big thing was actually, the big thing that we're interested in, actually, that it beat out, that didn't get nominated, was, I've mentioned him on the podcast before, but Spike Lee has actually he's actually on that list with David Cronenberg of the best directors never to win an Oscar. And it's also that this is a film that touches upon the issue of race, and so is Do the Right Thing. But this film is obviously a lot more white. White director. Yeah, the directors are both white. One of them's a lady, though. So, hold on.
Well, I mean the authors. The author's white.
Yeah, that too.
Who did the original?
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, it wasn't nominated for Best Director, so these might just be the producers. Yeah, these would be the producers, actually. Directed by Bruce Beresford, Australian. Yeah, I think the director's white. So yeah, so that's the big thing. Do the Right Thing is a movie about it's a movie about a simmering tension in a Brooklyn neighborhood that eventually escalates to a police riot, or escalates into a riot after a man is killed after getting choked out with a cop. So yeah, that's what this was up against. It's not quite as bad as if it's more like contrast, really. I don't think they would have realistically given Spike Lee the Oscar, not because it's a bad film, but just because, I mean, the same reason he didn't get nominated in real life. But yeah, probably Do the Right Thing might very well deserve it. But yeah, it's a lot of people don't really care for this omission. Yeah, it's this movie isn't so whitewashed that it completely terrible, but it's not nearly as it's very much told from a white person's perspective, it doesn't go as far as to be like, oh, it's actually just a misunderstanding and everything's okay now and we're all past this. No, it very much does like portray like this is a movie with like a downright couple racist cops, like really racist cops in this, and it treats that with like the gravity that like you'd expect. I don't know that the big issue is I don't think Miss Daisy's character arc gets to like to like a point where like it would become better than do the right thing, if that's even possible. It's very much a thing where like, okay, we see her flaws and she does change toward the end of the movie, but it doesn't it's kind of left to the audience to be like, okay, she's not entirely all the way there. This isn't like an end goal for racial like equality and multiculturalism is I think the end point here, cuz she's not, I don't think this like it's like a tiny little story that's like, oh, this is kind of nice. The lady kind of to a degree overcame her prejudice, but I think there's a bit of a tragedy and like, oh, she didn't get all the way there. But I think to like, no one would ever say this is like a great civil rights film, again because it stars a white person and a very much unequal racial dynamic that exists here, which we'll get into with the film. But like, Hoke is the Morgan Freeman's character Hoke is very much a in like a lesser position to her, and he gets benefited and he gets like significant benefits from being in this position, and he is treated fairly, which isn't necessarily a what's the word, yeah, he's just yeah, there's an unequal power dynamic and he's unequal power dynamic and he's treated good, but that's not like a foregone conclusion in real life. But I don't think, but again, it does have some honesty there, where like it doesn't say like, oh, this is an okay thing for society to be like. And I think we're gonna move on because I think it'll be easier to go through this as we get into the plot, because I'm like holding stuff back and this is bad. Oh, this is gonna be a mess to edit. Yeah, it'll be easier when I like talk about the things. But yeah, no, it just doesn't. Yeah, no, it's not. I don't think it can do a good job as do the right thing.
It's
Yeah,
not very in your face with the racism, as I think 95% of what Kyle is trying to say. It's definitely downplayed it a lot, but I mean,
the most important messages from the film I think are caught by the audience inclusions the audience might make, that like them saying like, oh, she's still racist by the end of the movie, and I think that's something you need to understand in order to get value from this. Because if you come out of this movie thinking, oh yeah, these people are cool now and it's so nice that she overcame her racism, that's no. And I don't think even I have reason to believe the playwright had that in mind, that you weren't supposed to be like, oh yeah, Miss Daisy's over her racism. But yeah, we'll get into the plot. So the movie opens up to Miss Daisy walking around her house. She is a old like an older Jewish woman. The year is 1948. um she interacts with her African American maid, Idella. If I'm having that right, do I have that right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and she's interacting with her a little bit, and she's interacting with her son just a bit. Bully, who's got a weird name. He's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Been an interesting character. He's like a lot sort of like his mother, but he's kind of, there's kind of like a tensions between them, where just like he's not like traditionally Jewish enough for her to appreciate. And there's a lot of like her making cracks about Christmas and just like, geez, for getting in too much with this. And you can tell she's very traditional throughout the movie, and you do get a odd chuckle out of it because it's kind of interesting. It's like, oh yeah, we've a lot of people have a grandma like that. This is like something that you'd imagine people would say, and there's some entertainment in that. Miss Daisy goes to get into her car and drives and accidentally hits the gas when she wants to hit the brakes and backs into her neighbor's yard, allegedly damaging the vehicle because we don't really see the damage. I assume there's some sort of dent frame, but they have to replace the vehicle. He says it cost them $2,700 in 1948 money, and fuck, I can't believe that the crane would have cost that much. And they get a new car too, so or she gets a new car too, so it's alleged that this vehicle was damaged, and he's giving her shit because she doesn't want to not drive. And the implication here is that the insurance company won't insure her anymore after this little stunt. And this poor lady, by the way, everyone just like wanders over to like gawk at this. There's a cop at this present for like her backing into her neighbor's lawn with her own driveway. I'm sure a cop needs to be here. That's so weird.
Property damage, depending.
Didn't seem like there was because she didn't back through a fence. She backed off a ledge into like a little pond or something. So there's not too much property damage, but I guess again we don't know too many of the details. Yeah, so she does that, and I guess she loses her license. She realized that she can't like take a taxi wherever she wants. It's very difficult for her to get to places. She's trying to like she's like saying she'll like go on the cable cars to get to places, but Booley isn't having too much of that, so he hires a friend of one of his workers. So a guy named Hoke Colburn gets hired. He is played by Morgan Freeman. He's got a bit more of an accent. He's got a pretty thick accent in this one that you're not really used to if you've seen a lot of. This is obviously like before he's been completely typecast.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I think this is he actually did this on the original play production. So he's reprising his role from this.
You know, I only really think of oh, okay, I'm reading this wrong. I thought this was telling me like, but this is only select filmography because I only really picture Morgan Freeman as old. I can't really remember anything that he's been in where he's super young, but
yeah, he usually even like what year is oh, what's that called? The one with the prison.
the not the Green Mile.
No, that's different. The Stephen King one.
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption. Like he's younger. He seems younger than that. What year is that?
94.
90.
And
Okay,
this
so
is
that's
89.
after that. Yeah, and he looks a bit younger in that parts, but
with this being said, this came out in 1989. His earliest film is 1964, though.
Yeah, so he's been around a bunch. I don't think he really became super famous until like Shawshank and I guess this
1980s.
Yeah, picking up. Yeah, so we don't really know him as like a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he always he transition. He does a lot of. I guess this is kind of like part of his typecasting because this is like a role where he gets older throughout the film and they put him in makeup and then like he can convincingly be like middle-aged and then move on to old man.
Yeah, well, it's the same with Dan Aykroyd. I had to look this up actually because I was kind of curious about it. This came out in '89, and Dan Aykroyd would have been 30. And when they first started portraying him in the film, he was supposed to be about 40.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, everyone kind of ages. That's why this got a makeup award.
no director award, though. I don't know if you covered that.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know that there's anything to like. We don't see much. Like it takes advantage of not being on the stage, with like weather effects and shit. But yeah, best director probably could have went elsewhere. Let's be honest.
Well, it's only happened like 3 times in the time of the Best Picture awards.
Yeah, and besides, they usually best director likes to go to occasion like a film that's like, yeah, we don't really want to give it best picture, but it's really cool, so we want to give it something really impressive. So it's like it's not the
Mhm.
top honor, but it's a very impressive. It's like, oh yeah, here's an impressive award that we can award you, and like this will get you a couple miles.
There's also like the music in here is actually composed by Hans Zimmer.
I don't think it's his best work.
It's good, but it's so over, like it's almost repetitive to the point that
Yeah, it's sitcom-y. Um,
Mhm.
it's kind of like in Delta Force, right? They were playing that theme that wasn't that good, and they were milking it. Actually, like it's
Yeah.
not straight up bad like that was, but did this get any music? No, it didn't. Good. Yeah, no, it's very, yeah, the music's just kind of like on repeat. We get a couple things. There's a couple of music points where the music's used fine. It's just like not impressive. I mentioned the part where he gets where they get pulled over early, or I suppose they don't get pulled over. They get checked up on by a policeman earlier, and that was a okay use of music. So, but yeah, maybe not quite dire enough. But yeah, so yeah, she's backed in. They have a bit of a relationship. It's very much one of those like southern mom and son things where they're just like really nippy at each other, and she's like, "Mama, no, you don't do that. You're getting your thing." Yeah, so he hires Morgan Freeman to drive his mother around. He points out that like, hey, look, she can say whatever she wants to you, but you work for me. I'm paying you. I'm your boss. So you'll drive her around. And to start, she's just kind of like resistance to this. We're also introduced to Bully's husband, not husband, daughter. God, Christ, that'd be. We think that Morgan Freeman gets some bad looks from the cops. You think? I don't think.
Right?
I don't think the gay men are getting treated much better in 1950, are they?
Oh, probably not.
No, no, I don't imagine like the Klan's gonna be like, you know what? I don't like blacks, I don't like Jews, but I like them gay guys. that's that's a
That is fair enough.
yeah. Usually they're in for the whole mile. It's never just one. You never get racists who are like just racist against one people either. That's another thing. So it's always like connected to like the whole 9 miles. Or just like, oh yeah, we have all it just hates everything. It's like pick one at least. Could you narrow it down to one? No. But I suppose it's not a hobby. You can't just limit it. Anyway.
That's really funny. Sorry, it's just going over like the film, and one of the bigger things in it was dementia. But if you go on Wikipedia and hover over the word dementia, it gives you a hyperlink, and then you click it, and it shows a picture of a man who was diagnosed with schizophrenia, with dementia, and it's just a drawing of a guy, and I don't know why that's the picture they used to.
Yeah, dementia's not necessarily one of those things where like, oh yeah, this is a guy who clearly has dementia. I can tell from a mile away. Like, I mean, okay, does this guy dementia, or does he just like has he just not gotten dressed yet?
And like when I think of like if you're looking at the picture, like the guy doesn't look older or anything, and I thought dementia is something that went on with like older age people.
I mean, it can happen younger, but like, and even then, like my grandpa had dementia. He didn't look that much, or he had Alzheimer's. He didn't look that much different until, uh, from what I saw him. Like, I mean, there was deterioration, but yeah, I don't think he didn't look all that different toward the end. I suppose.
I don't have an answer to this question, and I'm gonna stop trying to make sense of it. So,
Yeah, and we're a little early for that stuff yet. So yeah, we're introduced to Booley's wife, who is a character I go back and forth on about whether I like her or not. Like at first I was just like in this scene, she's gotten Booley like a cowboy sort of outfit. You know, something that like he's from Atlanta, he's from Georgia. This is a thing a guy from Georgia might wear if he wanted to be all cowpokey. And like she's just like, oh, doesn't he look cute? And Miss Daisy's just like, no, no, he looks stupid. And I feel bad for her for a little bit. And then like later on, she's just like yelling at her maid for over basically nothing. So I don't know. She's not a very well developed character.
and that like the thing was like stupidly awful. Um,
Yeah,
the get up he was wearing, outfit, I guess is the correct word.
yeah. I could see why his wife would have dressed him in that though.
Mm,
I mean, he wouldn't. I'm not saying it's like something you'd appreciate, but it's like, yeah, I can see. I could have been made to wear that. So yeah, we meet her. We first meet Morgan Freeman. More like Hoke and Miss Daisy first meet. Hoke doesn't really. Miss Daisy doesn't really want anything to do with them. I think he goes to leave at the end of the day, and he's just like, and the maid, him and the maid are leaving, and Idell is just like, I'm leaving, Miss Daisy, and she's like, oh yeah, goodbye, and Hoke's just like, hey, I'm leaving, me too, Miss Daisy. He's like, she's like, good, get out of here. Such a spiteful thing. She's mean to him for a good little bit of the movie. Like it's not like their relationship I wouldn't say is good toward the end, but it is she's it does get better as far as like the working relationship goes. But she's mean to him this first little bit. She gets like mad at him for trying to dust off a light fixture because he's not able to do anything because he's just sitting around
mhm.
taking whatever amount of money they pay him a week. They say what they pay him later, but I think they expand that a few times.
Well, I've looked into it because I was curious earlier on. They keep on saying that anything over $6.50 an hour is highway robbery. At that point in time, 60 or 650 650 a week is equivalent to about $71 nowadays.
I know they toward the end start paying Hoke $75 a week.
Yeah, but I also didn't look into the inflation rate on that.
Yeah. Um
But I mean, he's a chauffeur.
yeah.
I don't think chauffeurs get paid bad money.
Yeah, not necessarily. Especially if you're on wage. I think they maybe bring up the number of $7 a day or something like that. Or $7, which would be 35 a week. I don't know. Yeah. I forget. He makes okay money, I think. I mean, he buys two cars a week.
$19.65 is what a chauffeur makes hourly.
1950, or that's all right.
1965 in Canada.
That's not too bad if you're getting a full weekend, getting at least 30 hours. It ain't too bad depending on where you live. which would probably be someplace expensive because
Yeah, but like
it's not minimum
you
wage.
don't see chauffeurs often. Like you see
Yeah.
taxi drivers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like if you're a chauffeur, you're specifically driving like limos or
You're a private driver or you're driving limos. Yeah.
I mean, at this point in time, I would rather be talking about what chauffeurs do and make. This movie wasn't long, it's just very, very, very slow paced.
I I don't know. I took it away. I was also like cooking supper between while I was doing like the first hour, half 40 minutes of this movie. So
I mean, you can skip the first like 20 minutes.
yeah, I think I've summarized like a half hour here, something like that. I mean, I've haven't been making good time so far, but I mean, I stumbled in the beginning a good bit, so I might. This might only be 20. We might only be 15 minutes in. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. So after like 6 days, she like needs to go to the grocery store to get groceries, and she walks out the door and is going to go groceries, and she's like, "I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna take a cable car," and he's just like, well, okay. I mean, I could drive you. You clearly don't want that. Do you want me to go with you? Carry your bags or something? And he's like, no, no, I don't want you to do that. I can do it on my own. Which is admirable to a point, but like, she's doing the more or less the reason she's doing this is because she doesn't want to look rich. Because I think she's doesn't want to have that air about her too much. I mean,
Mm.
she is like she clearly the story I got is that she married a guy at one point who owns a factory, and now her son owns the factory. The husband has died at some point before the movie, which means she was a widow for a good 30 years, right?
Well, she doesn't die at the end of the movie.
No, yeah, but I mean, it's 1970. It's like 1970 at the end of the movie. It's
Yeah,
still
so
20.
she's been a widow for a really long time.
Yeah, so she's 20 plus, like mid 20 years.
Yeah.
And assuming like she doesn't go down quickly at some point right after this, it's very
Hmm.
much. But yeah, no, easily 20 years. So
Hmm.
could be 30. So yeah, she eventually she takes off and is gonna go walk to the car, and Hoke just drives up next to her and she's like, hey, come on, let me give you a ride. I can do this. I'm getting paid to. You're wasting money. Let's be honest. He's paying me well, whether you're using me or not. And
Yeah, but like this seems like actually a little bit of oversight to the movie because if she really didn't want him to drive him, he didn't have a car at this point.
well, he was using her car.
Yeah, but like if she just wanted to be spiteful, she could have just taken her keys.
Yeah, that's a good point. She could have just been hiding. I mean, I guess she didn't think of that. I can see her. Yeah, I can see her not thinking about that. I don't think that's too much of a leap. But this guy's also kind of lucky the cops didn't go over at this exact moment, because this really looks bad to a certain cop. Because I could some part of me was like watching this scene, like I could imagine some like African American guy watching it with me and just been like, I'm hoping a cop doesn't turn that corner right now. He's going to be in trouble. It's because I mean he's just kind of like harassing this old white woman. To be fair, granted,
Yeah.
situation context, it's not as bad, but doesn't necessarily matter if you get with the wrong cop. Let's be honest. Oh, yeah. So she eventually relents and lets him drive her. So he drives her to the Piggly Wiggly store. That's funny that they call it the Piggly Wiggly.
I mean, it's funny to say, but besides that, like we don't have any connotation to the naming choice of this little store middle of buttfuck nowhere, Georgia, right?
I think it's a chain.
What?
Yeah, hold on. Piggly Wiggly, down home, down the street. Take it from Mr. Pig. When it comes to value and freshness, you can't beat Piggly Wiggly. With over 530 stores in 17 states, Piggly Wiggly has been bringing home the bacon for millions of American families for over 100 years. Today, we're one of the best known and best loved brands in America. Yeah, I'm getting
Oh,
getting the impression it's some sort of like southern grocery store chain.
okay.
Yeah. Um yeah, no, I look at like piggywiggly.com. The things it gets up for me are like North Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. So yeah, it's some sort of southern Midwestern supermarket chain.
Okay. I
Yeah,
take that
it's a
back.
real
Apparently,
yeah, it's a real
it's
thing. Founded in 1916 in Memphis, Tennessee.
huh.
Yeah, I mean they reference Krispy Kreme later in the movie too, and they there's some Coke product placement. Let's be honest. They drink glass Coke bottles every chance they can.
Hmm.
Why is Piggly Wiggly called Piggly Wiggly? People also ask. Is Piggly Wiggly cheap? Is Piggly Wiggly owned by Kroger? What states have Piggly Wiggly? I'm gonna stop this. This is funny. I like saying the word Piggly Wiggly. So yeah, a couple weeks into the job, she calls her son bright and early in the morning to tell her son that Poke has apparently been stealing because she does trust Idila at this point. That's been made clear. But yeah, no, she's made a few cracks at this point about like when he was initially getting hired, and she said to Booley like, "Oh, I don't want one of them uh like going around using up my phone bills and eating my food." And
Yeah,
it's
but like,
yeah,
okay. So even in this scene here, she goes, "They steal everything, you know." First, they like, I checked my jewelry and like locked up my silverware, and it's like,
she brings up that she's made a count of everything in her house. She started, yeah. So that's how she noticed that something went missing.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, she makes a few rants that are like well on the side of like, yeah, this is pretty racist.
yeah,
And she's like, when she's telling her son about this, she's just like, they all steal. And of course, it's then revealed that the thing she's so upset about him stealing is a can of salmon, because canned salmon is a thing in the 40s.
canned salmon's a thing still, is it not?
I don't know. I don't eat canned fish.
You've never had canned fish?
No, 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 no,
What's wrong with you?
no. I don't want it. I just if I want fish, I want it cooked properly.
I mean, it's gonna be cooked. It's cooked salmon. You
Yeah,
always
and
cook your
put into a
cook.
can.
Yeah, so it's cooked.
I don't. I don't. Anyway, point is, the 40s is gross. Uh, so yeah, and Bool after learning what he's stolen, Booley's just like, oh come on, that's barely even a crime.
Uh huh.
Because like it's a 33 can of salmon. It's a 33-cent can of salmon, which is something, but it's not all that expensive even then. Certainly not for her, and he's willing to like overlook it. And this is like the only time this has happened in months, so or like in weeks at least. So like he's at least willing to overlook it. And this wasn't so much like a casual thing that was mentioned to him. This was like, oh, she called him to have him there bright and early in the morning so they could fire him upon him getting to work. And so she gets into the thing after giving on this big racist rant, and he's just like, uh, Poke walks in, and Booley says, "Oh yeah, we need to go have a talk. We need to have a talk." And he's like, "Okay, I'll just put down my coat." Oh, and by the way, Miss Daisy, I got to apologize. I know you put out the. I had a can of your canned salmon yesterday. I know you said to eat that leftover pork chop you left out for us, but it was bad, so I made the canned salmon. And here I got you a new can right before from the Piggly Wiggly on my way to work. So here
Mhm.
you are. And she kind of lets it go at that because he's been honest, I guess.
Yes.
Acceptable answer.
30C3 had the same spending power of $3.62 in 1948.
He maybe spent 40 cents if they only bundle it
I, d-
together.
I have no clue where. I feel like canned salmon has gone down, way down in price, or up in
Probably.
price.
I can't imagine it's too much. What is it? I don't know. I don't think canned tuna. I don't think canned tuna's that much.
No.
No.
Huh.
Um, I don't know
Weird.
salmon. I don't think no one in my house has ever bought canned salmon anyway. I think Dad
I
gets
think I
tuna.
might have tried canned salmon. I don't dislike tuna.
I don't know. I just like raw regular fish,
Eh.
fillet form or yeah, fillet form. I don't really care for fish and chips usually.
I don't like beer battered fish and chips.
Fair.
Like Eddie Webster's here, like their panko crusted is good.
Yeah, I'm not much for breaded fish. It just doesn't really click with me.
I find that breaded is too thick. It's
Yeah,
too
that's
bready.
true. Yeah, nice fillets usually nice with like the right kind of seasoning or whatever
Hmm.
you do to fish. I usually someone's making it for me. I don't think I've ever made it myself. I get it at like a restaurant sometimes.
This has absolutely nothing to do with driving Miss Daisy. If you want us to be excited about your movie, write a fucking decent movie.
Yeah, yeah, it's not
It's
much.
like it's like 1989, like United States. There's got to be lots of super exciting things going on in here. I guess it's 1948 in the movie, but like still.
Yeah, it's kind of like to be fair, it'd be kind of like awkward if it was like shoving itself into like random historical events, but I think it's not the worst play turned movie I've ever seen. And it's not the most boring, like mundane setting.
Isn't that all that like Forrest Gump was about?
Yeah, that's basically what Forrest Gump is. It's just like some white guy doing stuff in movies, so he's just like meets everybody.
And then like phones in Watergate.
Yeah,
Like,
that's in there, I think. I don't know. I've never watched the whole movie. I don't feel like it.
I think I did in school once, and I'm like, man, this is super long. So
Wait, in school? You watched it in school?
yeah, okay. So I took like a film production class in high school,
Okay.
and they're like, oh, we should do like it's literally just a credit for high school. So they basically just phoned it in. I think his teachers, and they're like, oh, let's watch Forrest Gump. So we watched Forrest Gump, and maybe not just one. I think I might have actually watched it in at least two classes, and like once in elementary and then once in high school. Although maybe not elementary, because there's totally a premature ejaculation scene in that. But like we watched it in high school too. Like I don't know how we got away with either of those. Man, I tell you, Canadian school
You know
system
what?
is.
I have one that's almost worse, maybe. Okay, so like grade 9 health class, I was sick one day, and they
Mhm.
made me take a movie home to watch it for
Sure.
homework. Do you want to guess what that movie was?
Health class?
Yeah.
Grade 9.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got no
I'll
clue.
give you a hint. It stars, I think Lindsay Lohan's the main actress.
Was it the one where she's in a talking car?
No, 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 no. I think it is. Who's in that movie? Um,
Freaky Friday?
no. No, it's the one that everyone likes, but I hate.
Oh,
Fuck it, I'll tell you what it is. It's fucking Mean Girls.
I didn't catch that. Sorry.
They made me watch Mean Girls for homework.
In grade 9 health class? Okay.
Yes. I
Why?
I don't know. I don't I don't even remember what the assignment was. It was so stupid. I hated everything about that.
Is there just like that much of like a division between like adults and children like nowadays that they're like, oh, this is what kids are into, so let's give them Mean Girls to watch for grade 9 health class. I had an art teacher in back in grade 8 that was really obsessed with um, Mean Girls, and I think he's watched it every single year since he started there at for one of the projects.
I,
I've
I,
got
I
no
watched
clue.
it. I watched it like, okay, surely this assignment was skippable. Surely there's no way you could have justified this.
I mean,
Like,
like, I guess if you're like looking at it from like a bullying perspective, but like, I don't think I've actually even seen Mean Girls, so I couldn't exactly tell you what went on in that movie.
I
So
don't know. They fucking make fun of they call a girl lesbian for some reason at one point of it. I don't know. It's so dumb. I had to do an assignment. What the fuck? Why are they wasting my time, Cody?
I don't know. I mean, don't be sick. I guess is this the
I would have had to watch it in school though. Like I
what?
wouldn't have gotten out of it because they showed it in school.
Uh huh.
Yeah, they showed it in school. They sent the DVD home with me when I got back so I could catch up.
You should just kept the DVD and been like, you should not do this ever again. Like bury it.
I
Take it out back and just bury it in your backyard and be like, yeah, I have no clue where it went.
I returned it and I was like, "Don't. Why would I don't want this in my presence anymore. Take it away."
I mean, it's like it's grade 9.
Exactly. They could have just let me skip the assignment. Jesus.
Well, my opinion is you should just skip all of high school. Complete waste of time.
Where were we? Fuck.
uh, tuna cans,
Yeah,
salmon
so
cans.
yeah, no, we got past that part. So what's next? He takes her out to a grave to the graveyard so she can tend to her husband's gravesite.
Mhm.
She does that. They have a little bit of a chat, and she's just like, "Hey, could you take this over to Bauer's grave over there?" And she's just like, "I'm not quite sure where it is." And he's like looking for it, and he's like standing around like an idiot for a couple of minutes, and he's just like, "Well, what's the problem?" He's like, "Well, what does it look like?" And he eventually confesses that he can't read.
Mhm.
Um, at no point is it brought up that the segregated school system might have been a part of the reason for that.
I just kind of simply implied that.
Seems like an obvious thing to bring up.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's implied, but seems like this would have been an easy like I can't imagine like writing this scene myself and like not bringing it up.
I just I don't. I've met one person in my whole entire. I'm 26 years old now. Entire life that couldn't read. I don't know how you go through a whole entire life without learning how to read. But like,
It's a
I
little
guess.
more common. It would be a little bit more common in the era where he's from.
Hmm.
Granted, like it's definitely on a sharp decline in that era, but it's yeah. But like it seems like really awkward that they don't bring up like, oh yeah, racist school system where black schools are like underfunded, and he's in the South, so it's especially bad.
1988. Ah,
1988,
that's
what?
okay. So 1988 is the first actual like look we've gotten into Miss Daisy as a character. She talks about going by train to her uncle's.
1888. You said
Yes,
1988.
yes, 1888. Sorry, and I don't fully like. I don't get the timeline because he says later on that he's nearing 70, and then by
Yeah,
the end of the movie, he's probably fairly up there. But like, one of the
I lose
things
track of
that
my
this
age,
movie
sorry.
did, sorry, very badly is the fact that they never dated anything.
Yeah, it's just like occasionally it'll just be like, oh yeah, it's 1966, just
Uh huh.
randomly. But like, yeah, you lose track of it very early
Yeah.
because like the first like half hour of the movie maybe takes like six days, a couple weeks.
Hmm.
But yeah, it skips. You lose track very easily, and this movie goes over an easy 30 years.
Hmm.
So like, and this like takes place a couple of weeks. I think there's one thing where like we get a Christmas scene during Christmas, and then we get like a scene after that, and then another scene where we're in winter again.
Okay, sorry. Let me just put this in perspective. By the end of the movie, um, Hoke, like Morgan Freeman's character, is now 85, and Booley is now 65, and Miss Daisy is now 97 years old. And I think this is actually never said specifically in the movie. I'm just going off of what the Wikipedia page is saying here. So,
Yeah, like we said, he says he's 70 at one point in the middle of the movie, and you lose track very easily. Yeah, that scene happens. Miss Daisy helps him find the place by explaining to him how letters work, or like how, because he knows his ABCs but doesn't know how to like spell.
yeah.
Which, is that how that works? I don't know.
I think she gave him really bad advice in this scene.
Yeah, he could have. She only gives him like the first and last letter of the name, so like it's very easy for him to like skip over. He does find it, but it's not great instructions.
I also don't know how people do cemetery plots.
They're usually developed, put into like quarter, like sections of four, I think.
Mhm.
Why? What was your question?
Well, like, is it first come, first serve? Like, is it like alphabetical or like,
No, you buy them as you go.
okay.
Yeah, no, you can buy them like years in advance and everything.
Hmm.
But like you don't yeah. But yeah, you can buy them years in advance, but I don't think they don't put them alphabetically or anything. It's just as you need them.
Sorry, I
They
just
don't even
Googled why we're burying dead people.
yeah. Uh anyway, so that scene happens. Yeah, she's a former teacher, so that's why she knows how to do this for all that's worth. Um
Hmm.
yeah, she's a retired teacher. So we next scene we get is at Christmas, and Woolie's having a Christmas party with her with the daughter-in-law's having one because she's Christian and is having one. She makes a couple cracks about how like some of the old Jewish ladies are saying Merry Christmas, and like she's like, "Oh, I wouldn't be caught dead saying Merry Christmas." But more power to you. I fucking understand that. I know I say Happy Holidays when I'm at work, and like it's weird because like people will be like, some people you'll occasionally get someone who's like, "Do they make you say that? Do you need help? Do you need me to call somebody?" They act concerned more than anything. I haven't gotten like too many people like outraged, but I've definitely had like people be like concerned, like I was like being oppressed. So it's so weird the people's relationship to saying Merry Christmas. But anyway, she's doing this for a different reason. She just doesn't want, because she's obviously Jewish, and Hanukkah would be her thing. So Hoax dropped her off here, and she's handing him off a gift that's not a Christmas present, because she doesn't give those because she's Jewish, but she gives Hoke an old literacy handbook that she used with the school children that she has lying around. So he can do that to help learn to read and whatnot. So there we go. That's a bit of a arc there. That's a nice thing she's done. I don't really feel that much different about her. I mean, she offers to send home her maid, send some cucumbers home with her maid earlier in the movie. So she's more than willing to give stuff to her workers. So this isn't strange. This doesn't change anything. I think they're trying to make it into like this big thing, but I don't think it exactly works. Because he's like, oh yeah, I have plenty of these lying around. Like it's not even like a significant thing. She didn't buy anything for him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, they have this. This is in this scene. The daughter-in-law had yelled at one of the maids, so we had that. The next scene they trade off the new car they had bought at the beginning of the movie, which was because the Wikipedia article actually has the list of all the cars used in this movie.
1946 Chrysler Windsor.
Oh no, that was the car that Miss Daisy crashed. They've been driving a 49 Hudson Commodore,
mm-hmm.
and they are replacing that. But in this scene after Christmas, Hoke and Booley are doing that, and it's revealed that Hoke has bought in the Commodore as a trade-in. So he got it as soon as they traded it in. So that was weird. It was just
mm-hmm.
like, oh yeah, we don't want to sell it from. We didn't just buy it from Miss Daisy directly. It's a weird scene, honestly. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish entirely.
I don't know either.
Yeah, because like, what does this mean? Like, it's an interesting part of their daily lives, but it's like, yeah, sure. I mean, I guess
Like,
he's getting a good deal on a car, like a fairly new car that's in very good condition.
yeah, they've done a couple of scenes that just kind of don't really.
I think that's the weakness of this movie. It's like trying to like, oh, here's some solidarity between Miss Daisy and Hoke, but fuck, it's just normal people stuff. They should like if this is considered.
It's like a slice of life manga combined with a little bit of racism.
Yeah.
Followed around by like old people. Like it's not that interesting and it's not that good and it's still won Best Picture.
Yeah, it's all it is like a sweet it's like at its best, it's a sweet movie about an old lady getting along with her driver.
Mm-hmm.
Like sort of well. And they become a friend and they sort of become friends toward the end of the movie.
Yes.
That's about it. It's not like a big deal, and I think this is why people are pissed off that like Do the Right Thing didn't get this thing's Oscar. It's because this is just like a movie. This isn't like treat it like it has a message, but I don't think it's like this isn't like a big civil rights moment that like deserves an Oscar. I think, and I think that's a fair criticism. It's like, oh, that's nice. It's best. It's a nice movie about an old black man bonding with an old Jewish lady. I mean, they don't even fall in love at the end, so it's not even a romance. You can't even get that angle. Like that would have been.
Sorry, apparently there's a newer version of this.
Yeah, there's like a BBC version or something.
It's an Australian version, and it has James Earl Jones playing Hoke.
Why are they spending our best actors on
this? I mean, what has James Earl Jones done since like? Am I missing something? Like, is he this like critically acclaimed author that I'm unaware of? Like, he voiced Darth Vader and Simba.
Mufasa.
Mufasa.
Yeah.
And that's like it.
He's an American treasure, Cody.
Yeah, but then, like, I guess he's more known for his voice than his acting, unless I'm like completely missing something.
Oh, are you saying he directed it?
No, he plays Hoke in it.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, no, it's it's just like, oh yeah, here are just like two of our biggest names. Is there also a version with like Samuel Jackson or like fucking Denzel Washington doing it?
No. Um, and also I don't. It's Australian made, so like the three big names in it are Angela Lansbury, who I don't know who that is, and Boyd Gaines, and I also don't know who that is either.
Yeah, I couldn't. Lansbury is a thing though. I know that name from somewhere. Definitely.
And I also got curious while you were rambling there for a bit. I tried to Google what the name Bully meant, and like I've got nothing. Nothing came up.
Southern nonsense? I don't know. Maybe it could be Hebrew.
Yeah, it's definitely Jewish name, but
I've heard.
there's
I
no
know the character the Jewish kid from American Dad, his name is apparently Shmuley, but that's
mhm.
so it might be like derivative of that somehow. So I believe yeah, I think it's Jewish name of some sort. But yeah, it's I think yeah, it's a name. I don't know.
Huh.
Didn't think
His
of
name
that.
is Shmuley. I thought I knew this.
So yeah, they have that. Next scene, they have to go. Miss Daisy has to go to meet for their uncle's 90th birthday,
Mhm.
um, which is going to be a big thing. Uh, Booley can't go or won't go rather, so she's going, and obviously Hoke is driving her. So they drive out, and they cross into Alabama. He's just like, "Hey, did I ever tell you about the first time I was out of Georgia?" And she's like, "No, when was that?" "Oh, it was just like a couple minutes ago." So that's like there's part of this movie that's just like a sweet movie, like a nice movie about old people. It's just like so they do that.
Apparently, morality has COVID has somehow seeped its way into the. Sorry, it's you brought up the fact that two of these people within the this movie have surpassed or have lived till they're 90. 1948, is that normal?
It's getting there.
Hmm.
I mean, you can find like examples of like people living to like 103 until in like ancient Greece and shit occasionally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess. I just went in and I was googling has the morality rate gone up since 1948, and I just wrote in how has the morality rate gone up, and the first one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, seven out of the 9 pages is all about just COVID.
yeah. I suppose it would kind of like screw up that, wouldn't it? That's all anyone can think about nowadays. To be fair, so so yeah, she brings up her story about how they're going to Florida, and she brings up like the first time she went to Florida when she was 12, she went by train and saw the ocean. They're having a pit stop at one point, to have like a snack because they're on the road, and this is when the cops show up to go give her some, and mostly because they see Hoke is standing outside the car,
Hmm.
and eating his meal, so they see him standing next to a nicer car, so they get suspicious. He has all the paperwork, of course, but you get the impression that he's really nervous about this because it's Alabama cops, 60s. Do the math. Cops have a problem with hate groups being involved with them occasionally, so
Hmm.
even today, for some reason. Yeah, they have a moment. They give out all the paperwork. Um, they point out like, oh yeah, it's Miss Daisy's. Oh yeah, it's my car, I guess, or maybe like registrations to her son. It checks out, so they let him go. So he drives off, and the cop's just like, an old Jew and an old word N word are driving together. What's this world coming to? So there is no big ambiguity to these cops being extremely racist.
Well, I'm pretty sure the first thing that the cops came out of these two cops' mouth is, "Hey, boy."
Oh yeah, no, they call him boy despite being like
Older
70.
than them.
Yeah, 60.
Like, it's one of those racial terms that I kind of fully, like, I understand the reasoning behind it, but I don't.
There's a certain point where it's just like, come on, he's old, he's an old man. Don't call him boy. Yeah, no, there is no ambiguation about these cops being racist as hell. And like they also play like some tense music over the scene. So there's like nothing bad. I mean, nothing like literally bad happens. It's just like nervousness about like, oh geez, I'm in a strange state, and these cops, I don't know them. So yeah. So they drive off. They get lost after this and have to take a back turn. They miss supper. It mostly culminates in like him having to go to the bathroom on the side of the road, which he has to do because the last pit stop they show stopped at, like a proper rest stop with gas. I guess there was no colored washroom there, so he couldn't have went.
Mhm.
And she had was like, "Oh, you should wait till we're in town." And he's just like, "No, I'm going because I have to, and I am not a child." And like he didn't get it. I mean, I get why that would make you cranky. I can see this. This is like you already kind of want to go, and then you show up at the rest station and it's like, oh, I can't use the bathroom here. That's just great. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a couple of scenes in this where it's like, okay, I get this. I mean, but yeah, no. So they end up there late at night, and they give the uncle his cake and whatnot. So yeah. Oh, it's this point. It's at this point where he says he's 70. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, during his speech at the thing. So next scene, he Hoke has a conversation with Booley about getting a raise. Says he was offered another job, but he didn't take it, and he's trying to get a wage to get out of like loyalty, which he gets, which I was surprised, sorta.
Well, I mean, it depends.
Yeah, I guess. Like I buy it, I guess.
This is like one of the problems with not seeing the full picture. And I mean, I guess we really don't actually really need to have seen the whole picture, but like this movie jumps frequently in years, like 5, 10, maybe 15 years have passed in like one scene, and then in the next it's like 5 years later, and you're like, oh well, thank God we missed all that. Like,
Yeah.
and now he's getting paid like 75
Yeah.
a
He's just
week.
like, and he gets initially offered like 65, and Moke doesn't stop there. He just like, yeah, that sounds good. 75 sound better though. And he gets it, which is I don't know, it feels like other movies would have gone a different direction with this to demonstrate a thing.
Mhm.
I know that was a big thing in that movie The Butler, where like the guy could never get a raise. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's could they have done something here? I don't know.
And this is what I mean by they underplay the racism a lot in
Yeah.
this movie. Like,
Seems like apologia almost.
I don't know what to call this.
Yeah, like it's like all these guys aren't so bad to him.
Hmm.
And like we don't see a moment where like someone's like really racist to like
Well,
uh, his face.
like I think we we have to go back into. I know Wikipedia is a really bad source for it, but one of the things that they bring up is the fact that they're Jewish, right?
Yeah.
But they don't like lean into like the, I don't know how to put this. They don't lean into the fact that they're both marginalized groups. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I would agree. They do a little bit actually, a little bit later, but like I think like the most generous thing I could say about this is like, oh well, it's supposed to be something the audience is supposed to imply, but that's
Mhm.
always the question. It's like if you allow yourself too much subtlety, it's easy to miss. And I don't know that having people miss it is a good thing.
Well, like 1989, you got to look at it like there was a lot of things going on differently in 1989 United States, and maybe it was a big thing then because of that. But a lot of the stuff has kind of lost its meaning because it's now the year 2020.
Yeah, and I don't think that's like a point in this thing's favor. Like it's like okay, it didn't hold up is not like a dismissal of the problem. It's just like this was never going to hold up because the second you have to like put this next to any sort of higher standard, it's going to be like no, no, this isn't that's good. We should do this. We'd be better off if like we go with
Hmm.
something that's way more inclusive. And maybe there's a better version of this. But yeah, I don't know. So after this, we get a scene where Miss Daisy and her friends are playing mahjong, and Adela and Hoke are bonding a little bit, or like watching some TV. He goes to bring something into the other room and gets back and sees Idilla. I think it's implied she has a heart attack or something, or a stroke maybe.
Hmm.
Either way, she drops like a dish and like she dies, and we get like people going to her funeral, and Hoke and Miss Daisy and Mooley and the wife all go to the funeral. So there's that. It's all right. It's they never get a new maid, I guess, which is a bit weird, or I don't know. Like I don't know about a lot of these scenes. This doesn't feel like a lot of really good movies. It's like everything builds, and like this is just like oh a thing that happens, and like she showed them a little this like that. Yeah, that's I think that's the problem. A lot of this movie just looks like it's saying like oh here's Miss Daisy showing some respect to this black person, like some very basic respect to them, and then like expecting that to be like some big message. And I'm like no, that's common decency. This is expected of you. This isn't you being like woke
Hmm.
to the modern parlance.
Yeah.
So they have a funeral scene. It's very nice. They do some singing. The next scene is another winter scene, so it's winter again. Uh,
Okay, sorry.
yep. Go ahead.
They showed like a lot of this singing.
Yeah. I think they had brought up earlier that Idela's daughter was in the choir, so they were like showing
Mm.
off that. So I think that's what that was about.
But they're like, okay, so there's like a 2 minute singing part, and then they just ended the scene and skipped to another scene. Like they didn't have a conversation after. They didn't.
No,
Okay.
that's another thing. Yeah, they just like yeah, they don't follow up some of this stuff, and they probably should be.
Hmm.
So yeah, next scene, it's winter again. Hoke shows up on a snowy day despite the iciness, and if you think the first day of ice is bad in Saskatchewan, imagine what it's like in Georgia where it doesn't snow every year. Or actually, it might snow in Georgia every year.
I don't know enough about Georgia. States are backwards, so
Yeah, no, I know. Walking Dead, that's in Georgia, and they talk about getting snowmobiles for that, and
hmm.
that would imply that there's enough snow to do snowmobiles.
Yeah.
Or like maybe it's just like they don't usually get this much snow, which is entirely possible.
Yeah.
Who knows? I'm not a climate expert of Georgia, so yeah, he shows up there to like keep Miss Daisy company. Brings her Krispy Kreme because neither of them can make good coffee apparently, and Idilla is the only one who can make good coffee. And like they show some things about her progressing. She had like chided him for giving advice about that her making some fried chicken, and then in this scene she like says, "Oh yeah, we both know how to make fried chicken good." So that's advancing their relationship, I guess. So yeah, they have afternoon here. He starts getting the fire started because power's out.
Hmm.
So Hoke is helping her out here. They have a little bit of a conversation about Idilla, which is like taking. I'm getting the impression this is like like a year after she died or something. The timeline in this is weird. Like I don't care what anyone says. Having year markers in a movie doesn't make the movie talk down to its audience.
Yeah.
Because no. As a matter of fact, I can't identify Berlin out of nowhere. Like, I don't know. Some people have this attitude where it's like, oh, if you put down locations of where things are, it makes them look down. I'm like, no, because believe it or not, I actually don't know where they are all the times. It helps me keep things straight. It's good. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't care what anyone says. No, there aren't
But
enough conflicts. There are not enough context clues in the world to like get me through how fast the years in this movie are going.
no. And I mean they don't really talk about a lot of historical
No,
things.
yeah, they have the odd. Yeah,
The biggest thing would have been like, oh, they mentioned that segregation was a thing and that like colored bathrooms were still a thing. They mentioned Martin Luther King, and that's really about all I can think of.
yeah,
It's
no, and
not
like he doesn't renovate the house or anything.
no.
No, like there's no. Yeah, these things are fine and good. We don't need to get rid of them. People just like to complain to like, oh, you're treating me like it's stupid, and it's usually like someone complaining like, oh, I, a Civil War expert, and complaining this Civil War movie does not that the Civil War movie is talking down to me by telling me where people are at any given time. Because I, a Civil War expert, would know where they are at this point in time. It's like, okay, no, that's okay, good for you. I don't. Anyway, next scene, Booley gets a Man of the Year award for 1966. So it's been 18 years since this movie started.
Yes.
So that happens.
Another weird choice in directing. I mean, good for Bully. Like,
I guess it's to like remind the audience that he's like a
a
successful
character.
businessman. I guess that's the only thing because it like comes up later that like he can't do something because that would like affect his business prospects. Anyway,
Okay, yeah. I guess.
that's yeah, I guess that's something. So the next scene is actually probably one of the better scenes in the movie. They're driving in the rain. Miss Daisy is sitting in the back of the car as usual, and Hoke gets back into the vehicle and he's just like, she says, "Oh yeah, what's taking so long? We're gonna be late for Temple." He's just like, "Well, you're not going to Temple. The policeman just told me that the temple's been bombed," which is very raw. We don't see it, but I don't think we need to. And they talk frankly about this because it's like he's just like, "Who would do this?" And he's just like, "It's always the same guys," and like it's in like he's saying, "Oh, the Klan probably did this," because reference my earlier point about like racist is all racist never just being racist against one people. So yeah, she's doing that, and they talk about that for a little bit, and he tells her a story about like an incident that happened in his youth where I think a relative of his got lynched for something. I don't think they say what. He was young at the time, so I don't think it was like something he might not know. And he's just trying to like communicate to her like, hey, this stuff happens to my people too. I'm here if you need to talk because I understand to a degree. And she's
Mhm.
just not very receptive to it. I think that maybe she doesn't quite get it. I don't think at any point in the movie does she truly understand that like he might understand what she's going through in this moment. Like they become
Yeah.
friendly, but I don't think they reach that point of like intersectionality, I think would be the word of like, hey, I understand what it's like to have like insane racist bigots bother you like this. And like because like this is like in the middle of the civil rights era. There's been like church bombings and shit of black churches. It's not any different, and it's probably the same people doing it. Yeah, it's and this is like a bit of it's either where the movie breaks or it's where the movie gets good. Because either like you come away from this thinking like, oh, she doesn't get this, and like the filmmakers don't get this, and it's bad, or you're like sitting there as the audience being like, oh god, it's so sad that she doesn't get this.
Mhm.
And like you gotta like, what's the intention from the filmmaker here? It's almost the big question, and most people don't know that, like, or wouldn't know that. I don't know that, really.
Um, I think I kind of have some inclination on where this is, how this went over. Like you've looked at it, maybe. Okay, sorry. This old lady was just like, "Well, I'm not poor half the movie, but she's rich." She keeps on bringing up the fact that she's like, "Yeah, but I grew up poor, so I understand what it's like to be poor, but I'm no longer poor."
Yeah, no, she's very much just an ignorant old lady through the whole thing. That's the problem. You don't. That's either the problem or the point.
Hmm.
And I'm not entirely sure which one, and I'm not entirely sure it matters. Because if someone's able to walk away thinking like, "Oh yeah, this is some progress," I'm sorry to say it's not. It's not progressive. It's just like maybe a nice movie about two people getting along, but that's it. Doesn't really
Hmm.
break that threshold for a lot of people.
And I mean, like, when were the Rodney King riots?
Those were
Afterwards, right?
yeah, that was 90s, I'm pretty sure. So that was after this
And
movie.
like, we're still fighting civil rights. Yeah, 1992. Like,
And shit, there's stuff before the Rodney King riots that are basically the same thing.
hmm.
And what's been the success? We get like maybe one tiny reform each time this happens.
Oh yeah,
Maybe. Like I think the biggest thing to happen is like body cams, and even then that's not hasn't reached like a point of ubiquity where it's reliable. And even then cops have like a lot of advantage when they break the rules. And some cops do break the rules. That's just the fact of the matter.
well, I think it was Colorado recently that outlawed if a police officer at any point in time turns off his body cam during an investigation, the case is thrown out.
Yeah, that's probably something that needs to happen if they're going to wear them.
Hmm.
Because like I mean there's going to be like occasions where like someone hits it and like it breaks, but
Yeah,
realistically there's a lot of times where people just turn it off, and people do turn it off. And yeah, you need to go with that because like fuck it, the second you let them just turn it off whenever they want, it can hurt.
becomes an issue. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, we're not quite there yet, and like Another thing I'll say about this: no amount of broken windows is going to change the fact that police reform and change needs to happen. Perhaps even like some degree of abolishment.
But
Let's be honest. Yeah, no amount of broken windows is going to undermine my point on this. Just saying, because someone's immediately going to be like, "What about the rioters?" It's like,
so this actually came up in a class of mine. I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, and I'm not going to name any names because I understand where she's coming from. We went online. We're doing an Indigenous 100, like an Indigenous Studies 100.
yeah, good class. I've taken it or taken one.
And we're doing everything online. And there's foreigners in our school. And she wasn't Indigenous. She gets on the mic and she goes, well, you guys had, like, do you guys have a movement like Black Lives Matter, like, for your class? And have you guys tried, like, moving, like, a movement? And we're like, yep. and I'm like, there's no such thing as a dumb question. But like that was as close as she could have gotten to a dumb question because like it's such a weird but yeah, it's no different than the First Nations struggle recently where people are like, well, they haven't made a whole lot of progress, but like progress is so slow, and it's like you win a court case and it's this big hurrah, and then like 5 years down the line it doesn't matter because like the court cases they've won before are still being fought over today. For example, the Donald Marshall case. Donald Marshall was the guy who got the hunting and treaty rights for the Mi'kmaq people in Nova Scotia. And that is currently in the news being contested over and fought over. And this was in like 1998. Like, there's.
Yeah, look, people don't get it sometimes. They don't get that like shit's been going on forever. They think like, oh, why is this suddenly getting brought up now? It's only just a problem now. And it's like, no, it's been a problem for fucking 150 years.
Uh
Nobody's
huh.
fucking paying attention. And like
Yeah.
the policy up until like very recently was just like, man, just step over them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we need to move on. So there is a Martin Luther King Jr. is coming to town. He's going to give a speech. This is clearly some sort of fundraiser speech for a bunch
Yeah.
of. Yeah, he's clearly raising money and is like a speaker. Did Martin Luther King do this sort of thing? I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on him, but I don't know if he. Yeah, I don't know if he did this sort of thing or not. The crowd is for this thing is actually like a lot of white people actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's clearly like a private thing where like, oh yeah, we're invited to this. Which is probably not the entirely accurate snapshot of MLK's activism. Let's be honest, there was a lot of on the street stuff, and this is very much a very formal thing that would have been like not the common thing. But they're about to have this, and Miss Daisy's going to go, and she had Booley gonna come with him, but he's just like, "Hey, look, I can't come with you. If people hear I go to that, I'm gonna lose a lot of business interests in the city. Maybe not, but it could happen. They might start dealing with people from out of state or like with other people, and I might lose a lot of business." So he declines to go, and he's just like, why don't you ask Hoke if he wants to go?
Sorry, this movie about racism just tackles this with more racism.
Ugh, yeah.
He's like, well, they really like them smart Jews in the business world, like the Jewish people from New York instead of the Georgia. And I'm like, what? What? So, yeah, it's just...
Yeah, the way he frames that is just like, hey, they might bring it to some New York Jew who's supposed to be smarter than us Georgia Jews. And I was like, well, I mean, he might. I get where he's coming from, I guess. But, geez, you're not even an accountant. You own a factory. Like, you're not that kind of businessman. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyway, he asks her if, hey, maybe Hoke wants to go, and she's just like, nah, Hoke wouldn't want to go. He's not that kind of guy. And he's just like, and he doesn't ask, and she doesn't ask him, and then she's like bringing up the idea in the car, and she doesn't end up inviting him into the place, which is maybe this is the scene that gives me hope for the author actually having a point here. Is because the speech that MLK is, or the recording of the speech that MLK is giving, is about like the problem is gonna be like white apathy and like the fact that like white people are overlooking problems and something like that. And it's kind of like you could very easily like attribute what he's saying to Miss Daisy's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And that's perhaps a point. But she doesn't really feel bad about it at any point in the movie, which is yeah, I just don't know how I feel about that I don't think it quite does the job. That happens. Hoke has to listen to the speech on the radio in the car. She also says some shit like, oh yeah, you know him, you can listen to him whenever you want, which, yeah, no, she's very clearly still racist at the end of this. Maybe not like, and people don't, I think this is the thing that people need to understand, like, you not being like a violent racist isn't like the end of the conversation. Like, a lot of the bad effects of racism are like you not like the MLK is saying in the speech, it's apathy and like not doing the right thing and not recognizing these are problems around you.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I had to Google what the word apathy meant there.
Oh, I mean, I had to.
Like,
I remember Googling Episcopalian in this because that word's brought up at the beginning of the movie.
I can't remember if that was in a good connotation too.
No, not really.
Okay.
Because it's like I wouldn't say it's like a racist thing, but she's saying it kind of like derogatorily, and it's like, ugh, you're hanging, my Jewish son, you're hanging around with too many Episcopalians, which is like
Oh.
Anglicans, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like the be all end all what that is, but it's the summary of what the deal is. Yeah. So after this, we get a scene sometime later. Feels like a bit of time has passed. Where Hoke walks into the house and starts calling for Miss Daisy and doesn't get an answer initially. He starts looking around, and she eventually, like, she pops around and just like comes, says hi to him. And he's like, "Oh, Hoke, you're here. Come, I need help looking for some papers." Which is and she's like, "Wait, what do you need papers for? What are you looking for? Did you?" And she's, "Did you move? Did you? Where'd they go?" And it's slowly realized that she's looking for like some tests which she thinks she marked, because like she's back into like her school year days, but she recognizes Hoke because he's such a central part of her life, which I don't think is how Alzheimer's works.
Well, she doesn't have Alzheimer's. Dementia.
Is that, I don't know how that works.
I don't know either, actually.
Isn't it exchangeable?
Well, I think dementia might be actually the name of the symptom.
Yeah, that's what
So,
I'm thinking.
like, dementia could be Alzheimer, or like inside of Alzheimer's,
Okay.
essentially, but not.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't. It didn't click with my understanding of Alzheimer's anyway. So maybe it's not Alzheimer's, or maybe he's just writing this wrong. Who knows? Anyway, So she is looking around. He eventually ends up. She's like in a She's like in like a bad spot. She's like really nervous and is like crying because she's gonna like upset the students because she didn't have their homework back on time. Which, oh, it's cute that you think they're gonna care about having their homework back on time. Anyway, he Hope calls Booley and tells her what's going on. Tells him what's going on. Well, he continues to console her. It's at this point where she says to Hope that he's her best friend. She holds his hand for a little bit, and that's the only real physical contact I think you get between them in the movie. Because this isn't a romance. It might have been a more interesting movie if it was. Call it hackish, but I think it would be
I
cute.
mean, sure, you're gonna talk about something a little later on at this point that I wanted to talk about.
Okay. Um. Yeah. After this, this happens, and we cut to the next scene of them. Booley is selling the house. It's all cleared out. They've since moved. This is take a flash forward after Hoke is retired. He doesn't drive anymore. He's going to meet up with Booley at the house so that they can go visit Miss Daisy on her birthday. So they're going to visit her at the old folks' home.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, Thanksgiving, right? Right. Yeah, they have decorations on the wall for that. So they go to meet there. Yeah, they go to visit her together. She just doesn't give a shit about her son now at this point. She like he like points out at one point that like his daughter is running for the Republican Party, which she's just like scoffing at, which shows a bit of progress on her part because like at this point it would have been after the Southern flip, so I think this is Nixon era Republicans. So yeah, this isn't the nice Republicans.
I don't fully understand the United States political system enough to make comments on this. So
So she shoos her son away so she can talk to Hope. And the movie eventually ends to her to a scene of like him feeding her a little bit like a servant. So
mhm.
their relationship really hasn't advanced, has it? Let's be honest. And
I
that's the end
mean,
of the movie.
yeah, what I was gonna talk about at this point in time, it's a good thing that the director of the movie didn't kill Miss Daisy in the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But does it take away does it take anything away from like not killing her at the end of the movie?
Eh, I don't know.
You could have. I
I
don't know.
don't think you can get like the. I don't think she ever like fully redeems herself.
No.
Really, like maybe like in like again, it's like this whole thing where just like yeah, if like you're counting like not like the end of racism being like just treating individual black people with respect after you get to know them very well,
Hmm.
but that's not how that works. So
Hmm.
yeah, there's more to it. Yeah, no, I don't know that not killing her would have done better.
Emotionally, though,
Eh, I don't know. I
like
don't
would it have made her character redemption arc a little better if she never really actually redeemed herself in the long run?
I don't know. I think death's an overrated literary tool.
Yeah, but they've already used it in the movie.
Mm, yeah.
We can't really say that, like, oh, it's overused, but they used it in the same movie, right?
Yeah. I just
And
don't
I
see.
mean,
Yeah.
okay,
Go
so
ahead.
they tried to milk Liddell's death, or Idell's death?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. It sounds off. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
Lose it.
they don't. They use it for that, and then it doesn't really add up to much.
Yeah. I don't think it would have added up much here either. Let's be honest. I don't think they're capable of that.
I don't know. I don't got
Yeah.
great things to say about it,
Yeah.
or
What do
bad
you think the
things
movie
to say
is?
about it. I mean, I'm gonna give it probably. I'm gonna say about a 6 out of 10. I feel like it's lacking in a lot of areas, but it does some areas decently. And I know you dislike Hans Zimmerman's music in this. I thought it was pretty decent, but I think when you said it was sitcom-y, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I think that's what I was thinking the whole time, and I just couldn't put a word to it. But I think sitcom-y sounds pretty
It's sitcom music
accurate.
trying to like be covered profoundly. It's like if you wanted to take like a sitcom theme and make it orchestral. I
Yes,
think that's what it seems like is going on.
but I liked it. It's
Yeah.
not horrible.
Mm.
Kind of doesn't fit the movie, but doesn't mean it's not good sounding.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything that it can take it. I don't think Hans Zimmer's strengths hit this movie well. I don't think there's moments where it tries to like build to like higher music, which it clearly wants to, but there's nothing in this movie to like build to.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 4 basically for the same reasons you said. I can't I don't have a positive opinion of it. It's not
Hmm.
like it's not like totally unwatchable, but it's like I don't feel average about it and I don't feel like good about it. It's just like okay, it's hitting notes, but it's not doing anything that would make it good.
Yeah, and I think you said earlier, like maybe the writer who wrote it's like really good, and this is going over our heads, but most likely it's really bad, and or not really bad. It just hasn't held up.
Yeah, I've given my like I feel like I've given an explanation of what the charitable interpretation of this movie would be, but I don't think the charitable or interpretation is all that good or any worthwhile. I think if I were maybe like certain of that interpretation, I'd maybe give it a 5, but
Hmm.
I don't think this is any piece of like it's
Cinema
tackling a
history.
yeah, I think it's like it's tackling like a big subject and not making a splash about it, which is yeah.
But you're also white.
Yeah. Well,
That
I give
could
it a
just be your white apathy kicking in.
I don't know, I'd rather watch Do the Right Thing. I might put that
Hmm.
on season 3. I thought about putting it in for Black History Month, but I went with something else, so
We're doing a Black History Month episode.
yeah. Oh, I got one on there.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing the right do the right thing, but I'll do it later.
Hmm.
I kinda I wanna watch that eventually. It seems like it'd be a good movie.
And that's pretty much all I've got to say
Yeah,
about
same here.
this.
Yeah, so that's the 9th episode. Next week's the 10th episode, which you've all voted on, I'm sure, because you follow us on Facebook and Kyle at Kyle and Cody's called CinemaCast, where you can also find the YouTube.
Or the Twitter.
Oh yeah, and the Twitter at Casey Cinema Pod, so you can find that. But the poll is on Facebook. So far, Titan AE's in the win in the head.
Yeah, I've never seen either of these movies, and I think actually somebody suggested that we did Gamera
Yeah, that was a comment thing. Someone brought that up in the comments at one point.
in season 1.
Yeah, during season 1, it was on like the Breakfast Club post when I
Hmm.
announced the Breakfast Club episode was coming out, and someone was just like, "Oh yeah, this is more of a cult film," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'll throw that on the list eventually. We'll do that, assuming it wins the poll. Otherwise, we're never touching it again.
Hmm.
We'll find some even more obscure kaiju movies to do in the future.
Such a weird.
We'll do kaiju on the show eventually. Anyway, yeah, you can do that. I told you where to find everything. Circulate the links. Give us 5-star reviews. Give us likes. You can find my Twitter at Lord Brokenshire, where I talk about memes. I talk about anime games at sometimes, which has gotten me some attention. I got a like on a tweet where I talked about how Tales of Berseria was good, and then another tweet where a fascist was just like, I had said like, you know what? Valkyria Chronicles 4 is very close to being fascist wish fulfillment, but I don't think a fascist would really like this because it features a diverse cast. And a fascist came into the comments. It was just like, no, we actually like the game.
Oh.
And I just threw my hands up. And I'm like, I don't know what to say to that. I don't know how to respond to that.
Uh-huh.
Like, other than just like random hostility towards some French guy I don't know. So, and he actually had an anime avatar. Like, I always heard that, like, oh yeah, a bunch of fascists have anime avatars, but I'm like, I guess. Anyway, see you next week. I'm stopping the recording. Goodbye.